a student of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad under the direction of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I've got to be grateful for those men giving me the direction that I have been given in my life. So I look around the room, I can see some of you that I'm almost 50 years in friendship and brother. Yeah, block, dang, it's a long time. But we have been here on this job, on this post, in this issue, fighting for the defense of our community, and we come to tonight. This is the day that none of us knew that we would see. But the truth about it is, we're closer to the end than we ever have been. We might have more time after us than we had before us. It's possible. But right now, we're closer to the end than we ever have been before. So we need to accelerate the urgency of our response to the issues in our community and accelerate the urgency of building something better for tomorrow that has not yet been built. So my dear brothers and sisters, it's my pleasure to greet you, my honor to greet you, as we say in the nation, and you all know, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
And to my brother, Brother Edward, whose calls I do not ever intend to miss or refuse. But this brother who, and we have been friends since the 80s. I was 2 years old. But this brother is a valuable resource in this community. I believe that Cruz is a valuable resource that has yet to be discovered by the broader branches of our community, but it will be successful for us in the long run. So when I came here tonight, I didn't have to be cajoled or convinced. I didn't have to be forced. I didn't have to be finagled. I came here because when I heard the call and saw the message and understood the mission, then I came because I want to be a part of that which gives life in my community. Our community, let's just be frank, dear brothers and sisters, we're living in a time in history that is the darkest day in human history. You say, well, what about the Bible days? And Ty, you know how we do it. You look in the Bible and it tells you this was dark, and Nebuchadnezzar was bad, and Herod was bad, and Pharaoh wasn't right, and Caesar, he was a humdinger. But if you ball all of them up together and combine them and place them up against the rulers of the modern world of wickedness, they could not compare. This world is so wicked, so twisted, so inside out and upside down that nobody knows left from right anymore. Nobody knows good from evil anymore. And for you to stand on the side of good means that you have a clear vision in a day that is becoming increasingly cloudy, muddy, and nebulous for all who walk the earth. Today, you understand that, I hate to quote him so early in the lecture, but I'm going to quote my brother R. Lester Christian. So, Rose, you know him. R. Lester Christian, who was the founder of a soul band back in the day. R. Lester Christian's nickname, because he used to follow his brothers around and they would be shooting craps. He said, let me hold the dike, but he couldn't say dice. So they called him Dyke. And the band he leaded was Dyke and the Blazers. And Dyke and the Blazers had a song that reminds us musically that in this day, as well as other days, you got to let a woman be a woman. And what? And let a man be a man. Then he also reminded us that we got more soul. If we look at what makes this city, Washington, what it is not the new gentrifiers. It is not the young urban professionals. It's not the political hacks and opportunists who come to the city. No, it is the people who built the city, and that is us. That's us. When you look at this record of self-improvement, I believe Sister Nicole, right? I heard your beautiful explanation of self-improvement. I heard your open, honest, transparent discussion of how you came through an early part of life when you was wild as a Taliban, right? But now you've settled because you have your own children to be concerned about. All of us have an individual walk We all have an individual history. But here at Cruise, at this table, we come to combine what we do into a project of self-improvement, which we pray will be the basis for community development. One cannot exist without the other, and they are ordinal in their understanding. They come in an order. It's not either or. You cannot have community development without self-improvement. Is that, we all agree on that?
That's right.
Yeah. My sister said something earlier about how we can't go out and save people or help people get up unless we are up ourselves. I would agree with that gently, and I would only add, my sister Nicole, that in our work in these dark days, we are like patients in a hospital. But we have the responsibility to work on other patients that are in worse condition than we. Doesn't mean that we don't need medical attention. Doesn't mean that we don't need care. It doesn't mean that we don't need to be nursed back to our own full health. But it does mean that we now must nurse somebody else while we're being nursed. Does that make sense what I'm saying to you? So right now, while we improve ourselves and divest ourselves of our connection with the demons that keep us in the dark, everybody knows what you struggle with, but there's not one of us in here that's not in a struggle. Everybody's in a struggle. Somebody may think they're on the upper end of it. For you, congratulations. Some of us know we're in a pitched battle, and we throwing leather left and right. Huh? I mean, it's bad. It's like Alexis Arguello and Aaron Pryor. We throw that. You know what I mean? Hawk time, right? So we are in a situation where the fight is pitched. We know we're in a fight. Others of us have not begun to thump yet. We're still in the gym getting ready, but you can be sure the fight is coming. I promised Brother Edward I wouldn't be long, but I hope and pray that for whatever I add, I can be strong. I ask Allah to give me the ability to come before an august body like this. Tuesdays on WPFW, I used to see Brother Roach and Sister Mertine come into the studio. Sometimes they had their little bitty baby granddaughters there. And they would be in the studio getting ready for the program that came on the air at 10 a.m. When I was leaving at 8, they would be already in there, getting ready to serve the people. But when they got ready to send their granddaughter to school, they gave her a loving greeting that I still can't remember all the words to, but I remember the spirit of. And they would talk, and it was some of it sounded like they was talking, "Oh, you, I love you, monkey, something crazy." It was turkey working. That was it. And they would, and the granddaughter, her face would just beam, bing. And then she would hug her grandparents, and then they would take her on. She'd be gone on to school, but she was filled with the spirit of victory before she even started. Our people have been robbed of the spirit of victory, and so we are trying to end ourselves before God himself has told us that we are over. I don't even care if you believe you're a loser. If God say you're not, you're going to win whether you want to or not. And so tonight we are in the process of improving ourselves into winners and then sharing the spirit of victory with a community that is under attack. This city has become firm in its place as one of America's most rigidly segregated communities in this whole country. There was an old newspaper called USA Today. Nobody reads newspapers anymore, but USA Today used to be a newspaper, and it was, in its day, it was new. It was the new kid on the block. But the USA Today used to do a survey every year of the most segregated cities in America. Now, Washington never made number one. It was always some place like Gary, Indiana, or, you from Gary, brother? Yeah. West Side, Lew Wallace? No, Roosevelt? Which one? Roosevelt, okay. But it would be some place like Gary, Indiana, East St. Louis, Illinois. It would be Dayton, Ohio, little just scruffy, small town, hard scrabble type places. But you would also see some big cities like Washington, Detroit, Chicago, of course, Philadelphia, Cincinnati, St. Louis. You look at these places where blacks migrated from the South seeking a better life, like your parents came from North Carolina to Washington seeking a better life. When they got here, they found that they had left down south and ended up south. There wasn't very much difference at all between down there and up here. Is that right?
Yes,
I'm just setting the stage so we can talk about self-improvement now. When you look at what happened in these segregated cities, they said Washington made the list, but the one thing that stood out about Washington was that it said in D.C. we have the most dysfunctional and the most enduring, durable, multi-generational poverty of any major city in the world. That in Washington you got 5 and 6 generations of people living not only below the poverty line, but completely on the dole of the state, completely being processed from early childhood and birth even through the decrepit public school system, without access to the schools over in Ward 3. Huh? You know what I'm talking about. It's right now. You know what I'm saying is true. You didn't have access to them over there. You was over here on this side of town.
That's right.
And then when you went to school and got disappointed, you went in the street, you slung dope for a minute, or hustled for a while, or pimped for a minute. Then when you get caught up in the system, you're in the system. And the system produces many more mistakes than it produces miracles. You may be a miracle, brother. You may be. Turkey work.
Tell it to the head.
But you see, many more of our people are not. This city is twisted in that it puts deep, dark, depressive poverty within hundreds of yards from the seat of power in the Western world. It's like they making a joke. Yeah, we run things from these big white buildings, but the Negroes deep down in the basement, in the furnace room, in the boiler room, in the Senate dining hall, they are the Negroes who work for me, and they're ignorant and they're dumb and they don't have nothing and they don't want nothing. You have to understand this town is a different place to begin self-improvement. The Negro in Washington had to have a special strain of the virus of self-hatred. The Negro in Washington had to be a little different than the Negro in Chicago who had an entrepreneurial bent. See, a Negro in Chicago, he's trying to start his own business. I'm going to be the next John Johnson. I'm going to start Ebony Magazine. I'm going to make Johnson products, Ultra Sheen, Afro Sheen, 1-2-1-0. That's Chicago. In New York, you think you're going to be the publisher of the Amsterdam News. You think you're going to own radio stations like Percy Satin. See, in these other places, there's different ideals, but in D.C., hardly any industry, hardly any entrepreneurial history, but a strong history of dependency on what we used to call a good government job. Back in the day, you would brag more about being a GS 9 or 11 than you would anything else. Maybe y'all ain't old enough to remember that.
Yes, sir.
But I am.
Yes, sir.
This is a city where you suffer from a certain type of exclusivity. We look down on people who are not from here, but they do other things harder than we do and get paid off of us. Y'all mad at me, I'm sorry. But the first thing we call you when you get off the train is a Bama. Am I right or wrong? Who does Bama think he is? Right? But them Bamas come from places down south you ain't never heard of. Chitlin Switch, Tennessee. Damn, Tar and Feather, Texas. Brunswick, Georgia. Come to D.C. and make a whole bucket of money off of D.C. players that swear they slick, but don't have what them country boys will hustle and get. Something about our self-hatred made us uniquely challenging to the problem of self-improvement. So what I did, I took the ministries of Cruz, and you all know the acronym, right? Communities, respecting everyone's will to survive. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
That's us. I heard my brother say, don't tell me about your religion, show me. And what you said, big brother?
Yes, sir.
Say, don't tell me about the religion, show me.
That's right.
Huh? If we show the people what we are talking about, it makes a greater difference because everybody can talk. But Cruz is not about the talk, as my sister said, it's about the walk. When we get to doing what we do, there are 12 basic design ministries, but when I consult the website, I see 13 areas of ministerial concentration within Cruz. Can we just talk about that a little bit administratively and then we'll open up for our dialogue? Is that all right, sir? Mm-hmm. What I saw was that you had on the website a ministry of youth development. And who's here from the youth development ministry? Can I see your hand if you, okay, my brother, thank you. Then you have a ministry of health development. Can I see your hands if you work in that ministry? Thank you. The ministry of economic development.
Roach Brown.
Roach, economics, okay. The ministry of basic life skills. Basic life skills, thank you, brothers. Drug abuse and mental health ministry.
That's health ministry also.
That overlaps with the health ministry. Okay. Good. That's good. That's good. You'll see why I said that's good in a minute. Then I see the food and clothing distribution ministry.
They're not here right now.
Okay.
Moses here.
Moses here?
That's food and clothing distribution. That's you, brother? Brother Moses? Okay. Now I see community development ministry. Community development. That's you, brother. Okay. The special events ministry. Thank you, sir. And who else? I saw another hand. Special events. All right. Then I see the advocacy ministry. Advocacy, if I understand it right, is advocacy. Now, if I understand that right, that deals with presenting ourselves in the places where decisions are made to argue for our fair share. Is that correct?
For the tennis.
I'm not here today, but I can speak on their behalf.
Okay. All right. On advocacy, right? Okay. Then I see vocational development. Okay. Thank you, my brother. I see parenting ministry, motherhood and fatherhood. Anyone here from the parenting? Yes, ma'am, Sister Nicole. Thank you. Okay. And I see finally the agricultural ministry. Agricultural, thank you. And then lastly, and I'm going to say that it's the most important because it's the capstone of all the rest, is the spiritual ministry.
Yeah.
We'll start there because, as my brother pointed out, the spiritual ministry does not mean that everybody's going to come to your mosque,
right,
your masjid, your church, your tabernacle. I don't care if it's an edifice or a storefront. That is yours, and we respect your right to have that. But today, religion has been the opiate that has dulled the senses of black masses of people and kept us ignorant and behind. We are backwards because of an overdose of religion. He's terrible. He said something about, no, I'm not saying anything about God. I'm not saying anything about the prophetic message. I'm not saying anything about the freedom that I believe God has willed for us and that it is his will that the black man and woman be free.
That's right.
I believe that. But my belief has to be proven in the what Thomas Jefferson called the theater of public debate. Ideas are refined, he said, and sharpened in the theater public debate. When we bring an idea to this table, it has to be examined by those who respect its source for the efficacy of the idea in practice. When you are planning something, you want to receive counsel. In Islam, we call it al-shura, the counsel of those imbued with faith. The council then decides, maybe we could do this, maybe we could tighten it up over here, maybe we could do that over here, maybe we could pull it together. And then the person who had the idea said, I never thought of it like that. Because at a table of respect, you can do that. But where there is no respect, you bring your ideas, if at all, very carefully. Draw them out of your pocket very quietly. Put an idea on the table, because if somebody don't like you personally, they want to savage your idea and make you look like a fool for even having it.
Right.
Cruz is not that kind of an organization. We're safe here.
That's right.
You are safe to be
That's right.
yourself.
That's right.
You are safe to speak in your way. You are
That's right.
safe to be respected as a man or woman of character and dignity. And the things that Cruz does not accept are the things that are not acceptable because they have not worked. It's simple. We have experience in black folks in black America. We have the experience of knowing what the hell don't work. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, sir.
We know what don't work.
Yes, sir.
And right now we have tired of repeating attempts
Come
at
on.
that which does not work. You know the old saying that the definition of insanity is to repeat the same activity over and over and over again and yet expect a different result. You've been marching for jobs and justice and begging these other people, begging these other people to give you a crumb of their cake off the edge of their table while you lay around like you can't stand up and do nothing for yourself. Cruz ain't about that. It's about these ministries serving our people. Now, I looked at the ministries and I prayed over this over the last couple of days since I found out that I would be here. And I looked at the website and I thought about how the ministries interlock and overlap with each other. I saw how some of them have certain areas of concentration where coalitions can be built to produce results that then come back to the general committee, if you will, and provide us with examples for programs that we can pinpoint, not just special event programs, I mean ongoing programs.
Right.
If we're at the table now to be in a small local organization where we can come into the table at the meeting and talk, we're in the wrong spot. If you're at this table to make a sea change because you see a part of this change as being necessary, then you're in the right place. You're in the right place. I heard my brother Roach, and I hate to refer to you often like this, brother, but I have to talk about some of the things that you've said that inspired me. I heard my brother Roach say that when he walked out that jail on Christmas Day that year, he knew that he had to do something for the people who couldn't walk out. They was at Lord and Occoquan 1, 2, and 3. They was in the various different houses of incarceration around the country. At a certain point in the District of Columbia, they started sending you, when you were incarcerated, to federal prisons all around the country in different places. You end up in Marion and Terre Haute, Leavenworth, and got darn Terminal Island. And you from Northeast Washington. Your family can't get to you. It's almost impossible for them to get to you. Hard enough for them to catch their X2. Now, how they going to get to you in Terminal Island, California? So the Washington experience is a little different. I began to look at how these ministries could overlap. What is the Venn diagram that describes the relationship among the ministries, and how do we make it practical? I'm almost finished, but I just want to, can I have about 2 seconds?
Take your time.
Okay, thank you. Listen, I see these ministries acting this way. I group them in fours. Four is the foundation. 4 is the foundation. A foundation has 4 corners, lending stability and strength to the structure that would rise from that foundation.
Come on.
So if these 4 men, this is just a suggestion now, please, it's not in any way binding it's just a suggestion from your little brother who's been praying on this matter. But I believe that the parenthood ministry, the youth development ministry, the health ministry, and the drug abuse and mental health ministries are connected. Not that the others are disconnected, but the connection among these may be just a little bit stronger. Why? Because they start the process of life. From birth as a parent up through youth, maintaining health, and then keeping us from literally bugging out. One generation ago, they said, don't push me because I'm close to the edge. I'm trying. What? Not to do right? A generation before that, they said, in Washington, I've got so much trouble on my mind. Sir Joe, the Free Soul, 1972, for y'all to know. But there's a troubling quality to living as a black person in America in general. I submit to you, not that it's worse than anywhere else, but in Washington, there's a peculiar nature to the trouble. You're sitting here watching people present themselves before the world as dignitaries and statesmen and scientists of statecraft and democracy and Republican political science and analysis. And you know that they're just some tobacco juice spitting demons from down the, well, you said it, I ain't say it, bro. But from down the road, I'm trying to work on my language. But these are the people that, so this imbalance is particularly annoying in this arena. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So these ministries, parenthood, youth, health, and drug abuse and mental health, are all connected together as we move through the journey of familyhood within our individual nuclear families. Let me just say this, and time is of the essence. We believe in families. Yep. We do not believe in no mixed up individual foolishness. The mixed up individual foolishness is what lands nations in the scrap heap of history. We know from looking at the scrap heap of history that every time, and you can say what you want to say about it, but every time immorality, selfishness, greed, lust for power, imperialism invaded the minds of the rulership and then the people of a nation, that nation ended up gone. Whether it was Rome or Greece or Babylon or Nazi Germany or the British Empire, whatever it is, when they got too full of themselves, they went away quickly. They couldn't delay the hour, not even 1 minute. When it was determined that they be done away with them, they're gone. But what were the contributing factors? It was that they became hedonistic. Should you have pleasure? Sure. But should you step all over everyone else to get pleasure? No. Should you become such a greedy epicure, a greedy gourmand, that all you want to do is eat? No. Not that you should starve to death, but don't kill people and exploit people to have what you want at the expense of others. This world is on its way into the scrap heap. That's how dark it is. Everything you read about any kingdom that went under in the past, and we'll talk about this in just a minute, you can think about it. Well, the Greeks did so-and-so, but that damn Plato and Socrates and them, they was wicked, so they went down. They not as wicked as these boys in the Castro in San Francisco. They not as wicked as them fools over at DuPont Circle. I mean, tell me I'm lying, man. You can't be afraid today. I'm not. Let me just say this. I am not. And I'm going to share that with you. See, do we respect the rights of all people? Certainly, in a secular society, you must. You cannot discriminate in secular spaces, but in my home, I run that. Right. Come on. You don't come up in my house with that. And we need families to be strong and say what happens or does not happen in their own house. Choose ye this day whom you shall serve. I don't know what others will do, but as for me and my house, we shall serve the Lord. If you didn't want to hear that kind of thing, you shouldn't have invited a preacher. As for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. It's simple. Let's keep it moving. That was the first 4 ministries. Family. The second 4 that I saw connected to one another were the ministry of economic development. I saw basic life skills. I saw vocational development. And I saw agricultural development. These areas of concentration have to do with the qualification of our communities to participate in an economic exchange with the community that surrounds us in a way that is profitable to us. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
If you have training about the theory of economics, then you can understand the drawbacks and the advantages of capitalism. See my gestures? The drawbacks and the advantages of capitalism. Some of our people don't care what the system is. All we want to do is be more paid than everybody else. We'll do whatever we can to get that dollar. We'll chase that dollar through hell with gasoline draws on, trying to get at that money. Huh? I mean, for a small piece of paper, it carries a lot of weight. Come on, man. Somebody should write a song about it. But I don't know. It looks like Eddie Levert. But that dollar has corrupted many people's minds. Economic understanding of the way systems and distribution of the wealth and resources of communities would be a major, major advantage for us to understand as we move through. Keynesian economics, okay. Adam Smith's principles of the basis of wealth, okay. You need land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. That's what Adam Smith said. Okay, that's fine. But if you have that, in what system do they exist? And to what end? And what is the overriding sensibility of the society about the distribution of wealth and resources? Do you live in a society that would have to levels that are obviously obscene, where the wealth, the combined wealth of the top 1% of the world's population is over $500 trillion, which is 90% more than the rest of the wealth of the people of the planet combined? Is that what we want? So we must be brave about confronting systems that have disadvantaged us, not only on the basis of race, but on the basis of class. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Don't be mad at me now. I see the next ministry to economics being basic life skills. You'd be surprised. In these families that you talked about, sister, where one parent or another is missing for whatever reason, Brother Ty, you see it all the time as you move around. You see it. When boys go to a job interview, they don't know how to tie a necktie. Right. No man was there to teach them. I heard in some of the religious houses where the sisters come to their training classes, they said that in the 50s that women used to come to the training class, at least they knew how to make biscuits. At least they knew how to make a pot of rice. At least they knew how to have some semblance of an idea to clean their house. But now, because of the breakup of the family and the artificial entry of the woman into the workplace, the disappearance of the man, and the children roaming unsupervised, families are broken. Nobody has an idea how to perform the basic functions of civilization. And then they look at our people and say, look at them, they savage, look at them. No, we are not savage by nature. We are savage in circumstance. And we are not people who are that way because of innate inferiority. That's right. We are that way because we had something happen to us. And to examine what happened to us means to understand these basic life skills have to keep us sharp, have to keep our children able to stand up and deliver academic lessons with precision, and then to be proud of doing that. To gain a command of the language and then not be laughed at, as wanting to be imitation white folks.
Come on.
We certainly do that. We certainly do not want to do that. I asked Minister Farrakhan one time, I said, brother minister, I said something he had said at a lecture in a sermon. And I talked about his turn of the phrase and how he hit 2 or 3 different meanings at one time and kept rolling. He said, you saw that, huh, brother? I said, yes. He said the way that our people were deceived was according to language. And so the way that we will be freed is because we will master how to unknot the language that we have been tied up in. Nothing wrong with us taking a language and making it our own. Everything that we have touched in America, we gave it a spin that reflected it was ours.
That's right.
Nothing wrong with that. I understand it. We're going to do the same thing with language. Every Sunday in church, you know what the difference between a white church and a black church. You've heard comedians all over talk about it. White church, oh, Lord be with you. Black church, Amen. Zing, See, it's different because of the way you do things.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly, basic life skills. Teaching our young people how to function in the world around them. Mm-hmm. What's next? Vocational training. People know now, and I'm going fast because I know you all are crews, you already know this. Much college education is scam. It's scam to get loan money. It's scam to get you to pay back loans and pay interest to institutions, then give you a funky little degree and tell you go somewhere and get a job. So you working a job making $30,000 a year with a college degree, and everybody else around you is doing things. If you got skills, get skills more than that. Get a trade. There's nothing wrong with you learning how to lay some brick. Nothing wrong with you learning how to wire some homes electrically or to cut some hair or whatever it is that you do. But vocational training should be at the top of our list so we're good for something. That our young men can come in and look at a house and tell how much it's going to take to gut that property and refit it with other fittings to make it a decent housing for a family at a basic level, at an intermediate level, and at a luxury level. They should be able to say 1, 2, 3, what you want. 17 years old, they can learn it. Mathematics is not a stranger to us. Mathematics is our nature. You don't believe it? Watch Steph Curry shoot 3-point shots. He's measuring distance and velocity. He's measuring air pressure. And yes, he is. He's measuring everything in the air. So when he flick it, he can turn around and walk away. He's measuring. Swish. Huh? He already measured. Black boys and girls can learn and know mathematics. Richard Pryor once talked about a fella that he marveled over. He said the boy was a genius. How did he know he was a genius? He booked a number and didn't need paper or pencil. Because he had a mind to compute. That mind exists in your young people. It must be brought up in them in vocational training and preparation for entry, not only into a job market that somebody else controls, but vocations that will cause us to establish entities where we build our own economy.
That's right.
Is that all right?
Yes, sir.
Then finally in this group, and we only have 2 more groups, we promise we got it soon. But then finally in this group, the agricultural ministry. I saw a hand of somebody for agriculture.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. See, the agricultural ministry, I know what, over in Northwest, they used to say what was the world's oldest profession, but I'm going to disagree with that. The oldest profession on earth is agriculture. It took you a minute to think about that. See, but the oldest profession on earth is agriculture.
That's right.
Because people have to eat. In order for us to cultivate, look at Tyrone, ladies. Look, see, but look, we got to eat.
Right.
We got to be able to grow something. Now, in Washington, when we got the idea that we had come up north and we was rubbing elbows with senator and congressman this and mayor that and so and so, we got the idea that we didn't need to be down on the farm no more. Why do black people have a stigma for farming? It is because the farming that we did in our historical collective genetic memory was farming for other folks. Huh? The scientists say I worked on jobs with my feet in my hand. Seemed like all the work I'd done was for the other man. He said, we've been buked. We've been scorned. We've been treated bad and talked about. Sure as you born.
That's right.
But just as sure as it take two eyes to make a pair, brother, we won't quit till we get our share. Is that what he said?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Say it loud, black and
There it is.
Yes, sir.
If we are proud of our blackness, of our heritage, of our skill that we have applied to build a nation for others, why can't we build a nation for self? Why can't we begin to grow our own food and control the means of distribution for our own babies to eat? It starts with gardening. I don't care if you live up the hill in the high-rise apartment building up the street. Grow something on your terrace. Grow some green peppers and tomatoes and onions or something. Grow something on your terrace. If you got the house out there in Ward 9, out there in PG County, if you growing something out there in your house, grow it out in the yard.
Yes, sir.
Eat food that you produce and begin to touch your hand to the dirt. I knew something had to happen. And I asked my oldest daughters, I'm going to admit it, I hate to put them on Front Street. I said, y'all know where eggs come from? They said, yeah. Come from the supermarket down in Mundon Mall. Damn. So I got to focus on this agricultural thing more. That's what we need to bring to our community. The honor, the dignity of producing for self. Getting some land, which is the basis for freedom. On that land, you can raise livestock. You can raise leather, cattle for leather, dairy cattle, meat cattle, right?
Yes, sir.
You can raise chickens on there. You can put up an aquaponic fish farm and grow trout and whiting on there. Only thing you can't bring on the farm, you know that nasty hog. He wanted for murder in 38 states. He hogged the kid. So that's where those four ministries. You see how I thought that through?
Yes,
Does that
sir.
make sense what we said?
Yes, sir.
About the fit with the others? We're coming to an end now on this one. I saw the food and clothing ministry, the community development ministry, the special events ministry, and the advocacy ministry as together. Let's start with the easy part. Special events cannot be the centerpiece of any organized effort, but it is those special events which bring attention and bring fuel to those efforts as they continue. The Reich of Hitler, the regime of Hitler in Germany was not built off of Nuremberg rallies. But Nuremberg rallies fueled the enthusiasm for the growth of their nation. You remember seeing they had the big swastika signs hanging up, and Hitler comes to the rock, hollering and acting crazy, foaming at the mouth, and the crowd, Heil Hitler! They was fueled because they felt the spirit of what they were doing. So special events do matter. They definitely matter. But they connect to the other ministries in that group of four by connecting with food and clothing distribution, which is ongoing. Our children have an interesting habit. They like to eat every day. He ate last week, didn't he? But they want to eat every day. We must feed our children. And before we get our farm producing the produce that it will bring forth, we got to bring the food to our babies and bring them the best. I had an opportunity to see something, and I don't know if I had a chance to tell you about it, Brother Edward, but these food banks that give out food, that's an honorable thing to do. The food bank in the black community gives out things like peanut butter crackers. And they give out, a can of pinto beans, and they give out, different things that are staples, and they can help keep you alive in a time of trouble. But I saw the food bank in San Francisco. It was interesting because their food bank had organic spinach-made pasta. Their food bank had non-GMO guaranteed products. Their food bank had alternates to dairy products. Their food bank had juices and water and vegetables and fruits. Our food banks have packaged goods. Crew's got to make a difference with that. So, special events, food and clothing distribution. Then I see advocacy. What is advocacy? It is to make sure, as we said earlier, and stop me if I'm wrong now, that at every table where resources are decided in the District of Columbia, we are at that table with a fair and just plan to have those distributions come in our favor. There's nothing wrong with that. Even though we do not place our ultimate hope in the continued prosperity of a nation built on stolen land with stolen labor. We know you can't live forever, white America. You too damn rotten to live forever. We don't place our ultimate hope in you. We place our hope in God and ourselves. But while you got something, we have a share of it. Because whatever you got, we built it for you.
Come on, man.
And we demand a right to have access to resources. If you refuse us, then you nudge yourself one step closer to the brink of the cliff that will cause you to fall into the abyss of hell. And we thank you for your steps.
That's right.
You had your hand up, sister.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to add the second part to what you say for the advocacy, the way that advocacy in my space is done, is that we demand that the powers that be and the oppressor removes the barriers to us as a community to do our work.
All right.
And that's what the demand is about. It's not really about asking them for help. I need you to stop doing what you're doing so I can do what I need to do.
Now, understand, they will not do that.
Oh, absolutely.
So, this is what I want to be clear about. You can make every righteous request you want to. You can say, look, Senator Beelzebub, let me ask you a question. Okay, Congressman Shaitan. City Councilman Lucifer, I have a question for you. Would you please do so and so? And they will resolutely find a way to refuse you. It is not in their nature to do right by you. Every time we invest in a hope that they will do right, they have always disappointed us. Every single time. What I submit to you for your consideration this evening, that even though my sister is an advocate, what she is doing is showing our people the recalcitrance of the enemy. And they're therefore reinforcing our will to get up, unite, and do something for us. Some of the best times that you have had in America when you built your strongest institutions are when you were not under any illusion that white folks wanted to help you at all.
Wow.
Therefore, you built your own because you knew that no benevolent white man, no sweet, kind white lady was going to help you do anything. You understood that if my children are to be educated, we'll find somebody that knows the alphabet. And they'll teach that until we find somebody that knows how to read first grade level. And then they'll teach that. We're going to keep going over and over it until we find somebody that can teach fifth grade English. And then we're going to teach that until we go up and up and up by the power of our own might and by the will of our God, who is not He's not deserted us. He has not deserted us. So when you advocate, understand that advocacy may have some limited results. But the results of advocacy, you have to decide, what are you advocating for? Are you advocating, will you say that the struggle has become a success when you can finally sit next to white folks? Hi, Brad.
Come on, man.
Huh? Hi, Caitlin.
You know.
And you just giggling because you sitting next to the white man in an institution that they own, buying from them, I'm coming to you, bro. Patronizing them, all those. No. What do you have of your own that you can control?
That's right.
And defend?
That's right. That's
So I saw them as being together. Community development.
right.
The community must develop. But that advocacy and that community development, they work hand in hand. Because whatever resources my sister and her crew are able to extract from them have to be scientifically deployed for the purpose of our own. See, listen. America went through a historical dichotomy. Black America did. Up until maybe the mid to late 60s, there was a robust and healthy debate in Black America about the strategy and goals of our movement for freedom.
Right.
Some black people believed that the goal that we should pursue would be accommodations from the enemy, would be assimilation into his society,
Right.
would be integration into his institutions, would be social equality with him in places where we can exchange and show that we all family.
Right.
That was one way of thinking. The other way of thinking was that we should be separate in a nation of our own, free from our 400-year-old tormentors
That's right.
who have given us, in exchange for our loyalty to them, some of the worst treatment that human beings have ever experienced. These two polar opposites came and they were respectful of each other, but there was a clear difference.
Right.
You had on the one hand the integrationists,
Right.
W.E.B. Du Bois, and you had those who were in the scholarship realm, and later Dr. Martin Luther King and the Negro Church. They wanted to have accommodations and they wanted to be brothers. On the other side of the issue, you had Booker T. You had Martin Delany, Bishop Henry McNeil Turner, who said that God is a black man in 1896.
Wow.
You have the Honorable Elijah Muhammad
Yes, sir.
and all those fruit that came from his tree, most publicly known, Malcolm X, but certainly more longevity and more success over time has accrued to Minister Farrakhan.
That's right.
This is just a fact of history.
That's right. That's right.
Now, separation and integration. We got to make a decision. What are we looking for on the local level? Are we looking to move into white neighborhoods? Or are we looking to build our own communities into fabulously
Yes.
dazzling, beautiful,
Yes.
safe
Yes.
places to live?
Yes.
Are we looking for our communities to become safe and tree-lined streets?
Yes.
And for us to have our officers pull up when a white man pull in the neighborhood, what you doing here? That doesn't happen now.
That's right.
You go over there on New Mexico Avenue, just riding around looking at houses.
Mm.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Hi, what are you doing here? You better not be over on Reservoir Road and MacArthur Boulevard looking around too long in the day. You have a decision to make about the organizational growth and development of crews. Where will we grow? So community development is to develop a community who is qualified to decide based on advocacy, right? Based on these special events which fuel and tension and energy into our mission, and which are reflecting on the fact that we are involved in the consistent work of food and clothing distribution, supplying the needs of our people wherever we can. Most people who have tried to supply needs for you have been violently overturned. How many of you remember Hugo Chavez? Hugo Chavez was the president of Venezuela. Hugo Chavez was a committed socialist, and he believed in the struggle of the Southern Hemisphere against hegemony from the North and from the world of white supremacy. Hugo Chavez owned a national petroleum company. And some of their gas stations are still in the United States called Citgo.
Mm.
Mhm. Hugo Chavez had a program where Citgo, right, was going to give out franchised ownerships to black folks, allowing them to enter into petroleum distributing on the retail level and even some refinery ownership. The petroleum industry, which pumps billions of dollars into the American government, said, we don't want that. Not only did you shut that down in America, but they eventually killed the brother.
Mm.
Black doctors are needed all over the world, and our brother, comrade Fidel Castro, said, I'll train doctors in Cuba, at the medical school of Latin America, in Havana, in Santiago. Come to Cuba. Train black doctors. That was one of the things that Castro could not ever be forgiven by them for doing, because it's in the field of medicine that they make mischief. That's how you got that sterilization.
Right.
That's how you was talked into that vasectomy, that extra surgery. That's why you got them extra fibroids. That's why you still suffer from systemic injuries that they pump pills into you to say that they are curing, but they never cure. They only treat the symptoms, and you live and die hooked on to the artificial dispenser of big pharma. So community development has to decide what it is that we will do. Cruz is bigger than just us sitting in this room. I hope you understand. Cruz is not small. You should look around and see your brothers and sisters seated at this table and remember these faces and these dialogues. Remember these conversations, because these are the beginnings of history. Just as surely as you know John Hancock, Tom Jefferson, and Thomas Paine, and Caesar Rodney. They all remember each other because they sat around the table to write the Constitution. So it is at the beginning of your history as an independent nation. You are beginning the process of organic leadership to serve your people in righteousness. I submit to you tonight, as we prepare to close, that black people in America have a far more compelling case for a nation of our own, free from skullduggery, free from exploitation.
Yes, sir.
Freedom. We have a far more compelling case than did the colonists in the 13 colonies in 1776.
That's right.
Nobody had taken their names, their language, their
That's
culture.
Right. That's right.
Nobody had robbed them of their folkways and mores.
That's right.
Nobody robbed them of their God and their religion and their sense of self. Nobody stripped them away from their families and destroyed their men and turned their women out. Nobody had done that to them.
That's right.
They weren't being shot down in the street at will and lynched on trees and burned at the stake. That wasn't happening to the colonists.
No.
But it's still happening to you and me.
Wow.
That's right.
Who had the better case for freedom, justice, and equality and a nation of their own? And even if you don't accept it and you want to be with America, that's fine. Some folk love America. They love these folks. They love them. They are the Samuel L. Jackson to the Leonardo DiCaprio in today's society. It's like Django Unchained.
Tim Scott.
They love this. They love the massa now. You can't reform me. You got to say, okay, all right, Snowflake, you go ahead. And let him go on and do what he gonna do. But if you about this freedom, you're gonna have to build this. And nobody can do it but you. You've been called here. You say, well, I'm not qualified. He ain't worried about that. The God ain't worried about that.
Right.
He doesn't call the qualified. But he qualifies everybody he calls.
Come on.
Am I right about it? He'll qualify Moses. I can't talk to Pharaoh. Pharaoh, I stutter. God said, go tell him I said, let my people go. I'm backing you. If he's with us, and my brother's point about spirituality is true, and I believe it is, If we're doing the right thing, every force in the universe, no matter what name you call it by, is with you.
Come on now.
That's right.
If you call him Jehovah, Yahweh, Jehovah Jireh, whatever you call him, he's with you. If you call him Allah, if you call him the Great Father, if you call him Big Daddy, the man upstairs, whatever you call him, if you believe in the right thing, he's with you.
That's right.
The last four that I would like to call to your attention. Well, the last one actually, because we dealt with all the other groups. 3 groups of 4. Did y'all get them?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Did that make sense?
Yes, sir.
I'm not crazy.
No.
You know they closed St. Elizabeth, you can't send me up the street.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, sir, brother. Come to the
I
last
just
one.
wanted to say this before you move on to the next group. I just want to speak on behalf of the, what's that,
The agricultural.
no, not the agriculture, the advocacy ministry. I just got off the phone with them on my way here, so I just want to give you a little insight on.
Hold on, we're coming to that portion of the program. I want to finish this formal presentation and we're going to come to that as a part of our dialogue. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, brother. The overriding conclusion that I came to after study and prayer and reflection was that without the presence of the Lord of all the worlds, we will be lost and irrevocably confused. It is my concept and belief that no matter your approach, the sincerity of your application is what the God takes into account. I don't think God is set tripping. I never have a picture of him in my mind with a blue bandana on his head. I don't have a picture of God in my mind saying he's from 51st and D Street, Southeast. Marshall Heights. I don't have a picture of God in my mind saying that he's from Lincoln Road. I don't have a picture of him in my mind saying that he's from Uptown, Newton Street. No, I don't hear any of that. What I see is that he is the God of unity, that he is the God that celebrates our diversity as an expression of our unity.
Come on.
Don't think that your diversity stops you from uniting. We said unity, we didn't say uniformity.
Come on.
You don't have to be in the same shape, in the same clothing, in the same idea. You just got to be in the same mind.
That's right.
Huh? You got to be in that same mind. I should say, yes, the idea and mind. You have to have the same idea. If freedom is your goal, nothing can stop you. That's why, even if you are a Christian, when you see the FOI
Yes, sir.
in the streets of the cities of America,
Yes, sir.
your heart pitter-patters with pride. Look at
That's
my
right.
brothers. Look
That's right.
at my brothers.
That's right.
The historian Van Loon, in his book, The Story of Mankind, talked about what happened in France in the early 19th century. And he said a Frenchman, even if he detested the imperialist policies and autocratic governing style of Napoleon Bonaparte, that when he was standing along the Champs-Élysées and he saw Napoleon's legions march down the Champs-Élysées in their crisp blue uniforms with their buttons polished brass and their shoes shining and calling that cadence as they walked down the Champs-Élysées, as a Frenchman, it made them feel proud. As a black person, you feel empathy. I don't care how much bean pie you eat and how hardcore bow tie, bald head brother you are. When you go in that church on a Sunday morning, and you hear those church mothers there on the morning bench, and you hear them supplicating the Lord from deep in their souls, and you hear them deacons praying, something touches you. Unless you are dead to the core.
That's right.
Something touches you about the beauty of your own people striving with what they have to bring about what they need. There's dignity in that. There's honor in that. And Cruz is committed to that honor. I thank you for having me before you tonight. I thank you for your warm hospitality. I thank you for the brotherhood, for the sisterhood, for the inspiration. I thank you. And everybody, you have to decide today, are you a turkey or a lurkey? I decide which one. But today's decision is a decision made among family. And we know tonight that we are kin of each other's kin of each other's kin, blood and bone of each other. We are family.
That's right.
Thank you for listening. We'll open up the floor now. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, sir.
You basically taught us in the senses of we could be in two places at the same time and at once on the spiritual component. You spoke about art to art, figure to figure, all for the black man and nothing for the nigger. You spoke about the higher forms of who we are. You even made my heart when you spoke about the potatoes in agriculture. And the sister understood the message of it. But even more than that, you showed us how we as black men can do the fastest thing in the shortest time. Just put a black man beside it and walk away. That is our spirit here today. We are enormously thankful for historical aspects that you have given us today. And to God be the glory for such a spirit and the joy of love for mankind that you have for black people. We thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes,
And I
sir.
second that emotion.
All right. Oh, thank you, Smokey. I appreciate it. Yes, sir. Now, brother, you got.
Yes, I just wanted
I was just asking if everybody could say their name.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
My name is Chris Ross.
Yeah, the brother Chris.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to clarify the position and how they're coming at the advocacy. Thank you. They're not advocating to the powers that be. They're advocating on behalf of our community. So they're more like a hub to the rest of crews and all the things that we offer. So they're like almost like more like the point of contact to the community. So I just wanted to clarify that so you can have a better understanding of how they're moving.
Thank you, dear brother. And I think it's brilliant that our name is Cruz, especially in this time. Because, you know, like in other places, sets of young people that work together to achieve whatever they're trying to achieve, they call by different names in different places, but in D.C. it's your crew. And so we appreciate that. Yes, sir. With the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan at his side to protect him, to learn from him, and then to implement his instructions among the brothers in the Nation of Islam and everywhere he has gone. You don't know him perhaps like you know other heroes from D.C. Come on. But he's a Washingtonian and he's a hero. And he's in the room trying to slide down in his seat. So I don't say nothing about it, but I need to check with him to make sure I didn't say anything wrong. He is our brother, FOI Captain Abdul Akil Muhammad. Would you just stand, brother, just so the people can know you? You're the hero. You know him. Cap, did I make it?
God, well done.
Thank you. That saved me 50 push-ups. So all praises to you. Well, brothers and sisters, I'm going to turn the podium back over into the hands of my brother, and I'll leave you by doing what he did earlier and saying a word of informal but heartfelt introduction and presentation, re-presentation to you of a brother that we know is a treasure in this community. Whether it's been his message in the music, organization, activities, programs, his volunteering in schools, in housing developments, everywhere he has been in this city, I've never known him to be less than productive.
That's right.
And he's productive tonight, and I'd like to have him come forward to close us out. He is my brother, he is my friend. It's my wife said that's one of her favorite brothers-in-law. She loves her some brother Edward. Okay, but let's bring him back to the microphone, brother Edward.
Let's give Brother Jamil one more last round. So that basically concludes our meeting for tonight. We are limited on time, but I did want to say we are grateful to Allah for allowing us to have a very successful speaker series kickoff around self-improvement, the basis for community development. We have other speakers that's going to be coming to you from the community leaders, community ministers, etc. And I think we got Brother Norm Nixon lined up next time. So we got Brother Norm Nixon will be coming at the next speaker series, and this is going to be happening maybe like every other Wednesday. To pump motivation and inspiration into the group so that we can basically, function on our high to get this work accomplished. So if there are no other comments or questions or concerns, we can go ahead and stand up.
Excuse me. Earlier, I mentioned that this was the best group I've ever been involved in. For 50-some years, we've been doing this. Folk, this is the closest I've ever seen in 50-some years of people coming together from Richmond, from New York, different places around the country. And the message that Cruz is giving and bringing this coalition together, after 55 years, I've never felt confident or optimistic about this kind of relationship, that we're making bridges across the country, around the world, from the radio show, different folk, and everybody's saying the same thing. We got to come together.
Yes.
And we got to do something. And y'all are doing it. And as long as we can keep Cruz going, and keep what's going on right here, I feel confident.
That's right.
That we are close to bringing this together, because it's hard getting niggas together. You can't even get them together in your family.
Go ahead, Rose.
Your
Come
families
on.
fight. So you
Come
bring
on.
folks from
Come
all
on.
walks of life. But I'm telling you, what I'm feeling, what I sense, and what I know from 55 years of coming to these meetings under all kinds of circumstances.
Right.
Brother, we got something going on, and I'm gonna tell that to the hat.
That's right. There you go. Tell him,
This
Rose.
is a question and answer period. If you got any comments or any questions for Brother Jamil, this is the time to advance it to him at this time.
Well spoken.
Any questions? I think you did a good job.
Yes, sir.
So
Excellent.
this is Brother Jamil.
Well spoken.